demonstration video on how to take out a VBB steering lock and replace it with a new one. Number 1, undo the speedo screw underneath the headset. The speedo will then slightly pop out. Number 2, push the speedo cable up so that it will push the speedo up on the headset as well. You have to push this cable up with both hands if necessary, and then the speedo will pop up like so. Number 3, unscrew the speedo cable from the speedo and take out the light. Take the speedo off and away from the Vespa and put it somewhere. Number 4, undo the brake cable from the front hub to free it up. And pull it through and free the cable up completely. Pull up the front brake cable through the steering shaft. Pull the front brake cable through the steering shaft, so like so. This will allow us to completely pull off the headset without damaging the front brake cable. Now we undo the headset bolt. Now we take this headset off completely from the steering column. One person holds the front guard while the other person turns the headset from left to right, freeing it up from the steering column shaft. The headset can then rest backwards on the cable. Number 6. Now we have to undo the 2 lock nuts on the steering shaft so we can drop it halfway down to gain access to the barrel. Notice he's holding the guard secure so the shaft doesn't turn whilst undoing the screws, the lock nuts. Pull the washer out that's between the 2 lock nuts. Now do the same thing for the second lock nut. Because there's 2 of them. Second lock nut coming off. The shaft will then be free to drop down. Now lean the Vespa on its side and take the steering column and fork straight out. The whole thing will come free. Okay, take the bearing out Then take the bearing housing out. Please observe the steering lock in motion. Use the following tool or something similar to take the housing of the steering lock off. Push it through with the other hand holding on to it so it doesn't fall through the bottom. And out she comes. Here we have the new steering lock. So let's put it all back together. Undo the casing. Pop it through the hole, put the casing back on. Make sure the barrel, when tightening the casing, is horizontal to the neck. Here's a close-up of what it looks like behind the barrel, just so you know what the mechanism position should look like behind once installed, with the barrel in the horizontal position. Tighten the barrel casing up. Okay, here we have the mechanism again in the correct position. Okay, turn the key. It should be in the unlock position when putting the steering shaft back through. Put the bearing casing back in. Okay, now put the steering bearing back into position. Next step is to put the steering column fork back through the Vespa into the original position before we took it out. Okay. One person leans the Vespa over, the other person puts it up through the middle. Put the first lock nut back on. Tighten it. Now put the washer on. Followed by the second lock nut. Tighten the second lock nut. To check if the two lock nuts have been tightened correctly, put the front guard into the centre position and it should fall away. If you've tightened the first nut too tight, it won't fall away like that. Next step is to put the headset back on. Hold the front guard while pressing down the headset until it's all the way down. And just to make sure it's all the way down, hammer it down with the help of a bolt and hammer. Next step is to feed the front brake cable back down, this cable here, through the neck. And in order to do so, the next step is to feed the front brake cable back down through the centre of the neck and then connect it to the front hub. In order to do so, you need to feed an old cable back up through the centre shaft until it pops out the hole up here. There it is. Then you get the cable, feed it into the old outer cable, so it can then be pulled down through. Clamp it down so when you're pulling from the other end, it stays on. Pulling from the lower end, coming down from the top. The front brake cable is now fed through the shaft. You can pull off the old cable to free it up. Okay, there it is. Feed it back through the fitting on the front hub. It onto the lever. I'll pull up the speedo cable. You can do that by pushing the cable up from the bottom so it's poking up enough to connect into the speedo. After tightening up the speedo thread, feed the light back into the hole. Now we get the speedo flush with the headset. To do this, you press down from the top and pull the cable down from the bottom. it's flush. Put the bottom screw in, tighten that up, and at the same time you'll be tightening the speedo down to the base. Next step is to put the neck bolt through the headset. Once the centre bolt neck is tightened, that's the end of the job. Mission completed. Key comes out, steering is locked.